in progress, and they're all looking at the state of the national democratic revolution in South Africa and the balance of forces that helps us to answer the question, what is to be done?
The Human Rights Commission will host International Human Rights Day celebrations at the Constitutional Hill in Johannesburg tomorrow. Under the theme Human Rights, Our Everyday Essentials, the event will also commemorate the 29th anniversary of the signing of South Africa's Constitution. South African Human Rights Commission spokesperson Wisani Baloyi says they also wish to highlight the rule of law with an emphasis on transparent governance, impartial judiciary and access to justice.
The 10th of December is a sacrosanct day on the calendar of South Africa in that it is the day on which the Constitution of South Africa was signed into law and also the day on which International Human Rights Day is observed.
Civil rights group Action Society is calling on SAPS to prioritize investigations into recent child murders in Cape Town and intensify operations in gang-affected areas. This after several children were killed or wounded in crossfire of suspected gang violence in the past week. Action Society's Kaylin Palm says the attacks paint a horrifying picture and warns that without a real policing capacity and community-driven safety interventions, more children will die.
Cape Town's children are living in a war zone while government remains paralyzed. We need specialized local policing with real resources and real accountability. Our communities cannot survive a system that is distant, centralized and failing at every basic level.
In Indonesia, at least 17 people have been killed in a building. The fire broke out in a 7-story building in central Jakarta. Local media is reporting that the fire has since been brought under control. And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has met with Pope Leo in Italy as he prepares to send the United States revised proposals to end Russia's invasion. Yesterday, Zelensky held talks with European leaders in London and Brussels. US President Donald Trump has accused Zelensky of not even reading his administration's initial proposals, which are considered by Ukraine's allies to be overly favorable to Russia. Gold is trading at $4,180.41 an ounce. The rand's at 17.03 to the dollar, 22.72 to the pound, and 19.83 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $62.33 a barrel.
Well, at this hour, if you're heading towards Bedford View, allow for extra traveling time. This is approaching the Giluli's interchange. Expect huge delays. This is on the R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Giluli's interchange. Also coming from Germiston N12, N12 westbound from Edenvale Road. If you are traveling from the Germiston Edenvale area, this is coming from Alex. Expect heavy delays. N3 southbound from Linksfield Road all the way to Van Buren.
It's a partly cloudy day in Gauteng with thunder showers expected. The temperatures are peaking at highs of between 29 and 31. Cape Town's also partly cloudy with a chance of light rain in the afternoon. Light and variable winds becoming fresh to strong southerly to southeasterly from the afternoon. A low of 18 and a high of 25. The top story in EWN this hour. The ANC says delegates attending its National General Council will today focus on its progress in implementing the National Democratic Revolution.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. You're with Mandy Wiener on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 and Cape Talk is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. Think bigger, think Nedbank Commercial Banking. On the show today, 3 people of interest identified in the Midlanga witness shooting. The Cogta Minister delivers the inaugural Babita Deokaran Memorial Lecture. An opportunity for renewal at the ANC's NGC this week. And how to bond with your child this holiday season. All of that over the next hour.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app. DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Report on 702 and Cape Talk with me, Mandy Wiener. Great to be with you today. We'll speak about the renewal opportunities for the ANC at the NGC this week. It feels like we've been hearing this phrase of renewal in the ANC for years now. We'll speak to Carol Payton about that, a very interesting piece she's written saying, the ANC is clear on what must be done. First, it must build ANC branches that play an active and positive role in communities. Second, it must rebuild trust by being seen to act against the corrupt in its ranks. And third, it must deliver decent public services to the people. What are your thoughts on ANC and renewal and whether it will achieve that this week? And then at the end of the show, we'll be speaking about something that I think is going to plague all parents out there. I'm already, 2 days into holidays and losing my mind. I don't know how you're feeling, but we'll chat about how you can bond with your child, and it doesn't necessarily mean you need a lot of money or expensive toys. There are lots of ways that you can bond with your children if you have the patience and the will to do it. How are you bonding with your children this holiday season? What are your plans? Send me a WhatsApp voice note 072 702 1702 072 567 1567. We'll catch up with Brigadier Atlenda Mate, the National Police spokesperson. I told you yesterday about Fani Masemola, the National Police Commissioner, visiting both Salisville and the site of Marius van der Merwe's murder, the Madlanga witness. And Marius van der Merwe's shooting has really caused an outcry about what happens to witnesses and what happens to whistleblowers in this country. And you know, if you listen to the show, it's something that I'm incredibly passionate about. I wrote a book a few years ago about whistleblowers, and I warned at the time, 5 years ago already, that we did not have the requisite legislation in place in this country, that not enough is being done to protect, encourage, and ensure that whistleblowers come forward. And now we see murder after murder after murder taking place in this country of witnesses, of whistleblowers. It's extremely, extremely concerning. So let's start there with Brigadier Atlenda Mate, the spokesperson for the SAPS. Brigadier, good afternoon to you. As always, welcome to the Midday Report. What is the latest update on the police investigation into the murder of Marius van der Merwe?
A very good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity. We have reached a very sensitive and critical stage of the investigation. We have found one of the vehicles that was used in the commission of the crime. It was actually used as a surveillance vehicle. So it was found abandoned in Alexandra, and our forensic experts are busy working on it, just analyzing what they can find on this particular vehicle. But we're quite positive that that is the white Chevrolet Bucky that was used on that night. We are looking for another vehicle, a sedan hatchback, also used, and we believe that that particular vehicle was transporting those that pulled the trigger.
I understand that it's a very sensitive stage in the investigation. There has been much reporting about a potential motive, whether this could have something to do with the Madlanga inquiry, or whether it rather has something to do with the work that he was doing around zamazamas and illegal mining. Is it possible that this had nothing to do with the Madlanga inquiry?
Well, our investigation is very broad, and not only investigating the link to Madlanga, but we are also going back and we are looking at that case where the body was found dumped in 2022 in a dam. You'll recall that that particular case, we initially investigated it as an inquest, but upon further investigation, we turned it into a murder case when we found that actually that victim had died as a result of blunt force trauma to the head. And in that particular case, I put about 9 suspects. And our deceased, I believe, is one of them, was one of the suspects in that case. So the investigation is quite broad. We're also investigating his attempted murder in September 2025, where he indicated that there were 2 white males that were following him and tried to kill him, that were driving I think it is a Mahindra Bucky. And then this is the 3rd case. But also cases around illegal mining activities where we are also probing that there could be some illegal miners that were allegedly killed by a group of people associated with Mr. van der Merwe and so on. And what was his role in that particular incident where there are allegations that there were illegal miners who were killed at a certain shaft? Basically, I think it was sand that was poured all over them and stuff. So it's quite a very broad investigation. We are not only looking at the Matlanga Commission, we are looking at this investigation quite broad to see who could be the possible suspects, but we do have 3 persons of interest that we are investigating. We took one in for questioning, I think, yesterday. I just need to get in just feedback on whether we have detained this person and how did that questioning go about. Yeah.
Brigadier, thank you very much. Brigadier Glenda Mate, spokesperson for the SAPS. And of course, while there might be multiple motives, a lot of questions have been asked about whether or not Marius van der Merwe should have had witness protection. Was he a whistleblower? Was he a witness? Was he somebody who was complicit? And all of this reigniting that conversation around whistleblowers in South Africa. Well, also happening today, the Minister of Culture, Nkosini Chlabisa, is delivering the inaugural Babita Dio Quran lecture at Stellenbosch University. It marks 4 years since Babita was killed for exposing corruption at Tembisa Hospital. The public protector also amongst the guest speakers. Lindsay Dentlinger is following that story for us. Lindsay, good afternoon to you. Thank you for your time. Tell us about what's being said there.
Good afternoon, Mandy. Well, the keynote speakers that you mentioned there are yet to deliver their addresses, but we've heard mostly from the academics who are part of the Anti-Corruption Center for Education and Research, which is part of Stellenbosch's business school. And what they are really saying that it is not just about the shortcomings, as you've mentioned earlier, in protecting whistleblowers, but the kinds of people that business schools and universities are turning out, because corruption can only thrive and prosper, and that which Babita Deokaran exposed could only take place because not just the state, but because businesses themselves have allowed these kinds of corrupt dealings to take place. And they have made it easier in a way for the state to be so corrupt, and that we always point to the fact that it is the state that is corrupt, but we may not pay as much attention to the fact that corporate and business South Africa is just as, if not equally as corrupt, for allowing these kinds of transactions that Babita Deokaran had to expose and ultimately pay the price with her life, allows these kinds of transactions to flourish. And that is what academics here at Stellenbosch University have been speaking about in their opening remarks, about what they do to churn out graduates who are more ethical, who have a greater conscience, because as Professor Armand Ban said earlier, that the universities are actually churning out the people who are designing these corrupt systems and these corrupt practices. They are making it possible for businesses to collude with the state and get up to the kinds of corrupt things that have cost people their lives. And of course, as you pointed out earlier, also making mention of the fact that this lecture comes at a time where just a few days since a whistleblower was killed, and Wayne Divenage of the organization Protecting Tax Abuse saying, sadly, he doesn't believe that this is going to be the last of such cases if the state and government does not act quicker to do something about protecting whistleblowers like Babita Deokaran and others.
Lindsay, thank you very much. Lindsay Dentlinger, EWN parliamentary reporter at that event at Stellenbosch University. Yeah, it's something I've been warning about for years. The fact that, and Zondo has said this himself, the former Chief Justice, that if we do not protect whistleblowers, they will not be around when State Capture 2.0 rolls in. And State Capture 2.0 is here. And we are seeing the fact that whistleblowers are not protected. We are still waiting for the legislation from the Department of Justice. Where is it? Why is it taking so long? And why is it not a priority?
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 and Cape Talk is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently.
day, Mandy. It's Tabo in Mamelodi. Did I hear correct? You said that an ANC minister is the one giving the first Babita Dokaran lecture. Once they catch the killers of Babita Dokaran, the one who ordered the hit, they must search them. They must search those guys. They'll find ANC membership. Thank you. Great show as always. Tabo in Mamelodi.
Stay alert. Willem Kosini Glabisa is the leader of the IFP. He is the minister of Cogta. So close, but it is technically an IFP minister that is delivering the inaugural address today. Real growth needs more than just banking, and Nedbank Commercial Banking is your growth partner. Their team of industry experts understand your business and its potential, offering insight to help you see opportunity where others see obstacles. Because when you can see what others don't, you can do what others can't. Think bigger. Think Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Some moments only come around once, like the Audi year-end sale. Get the Audi Q2 from 9,899 per month. With no deposit, a 90-day payment break, so you only start paying next year. Plus, a guaranteed buyback. There's limited time to show up, but unlimited time to stand out in the Audi Q2. Visit audi.co.za or your nearest Audi dealer before the 24th of December. T's and C's apply.
Building a life across borders starts with choices. Visas, a second passport, citizenship, your child's education abroad. And sometimes those choices can be overwhelming. For 30 years, Sable International has simplified global mobility, including cross-border tax, forex, and wealth management, helping you make the right choices with expertise and care. Build your future beyond borders. Visit us at sableinternational.com.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a work commuter. She's done this route 1,000 times. Perhaps she's daydreaming of a different job or just counting down to the weekend. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just another car in traffic. It's anticipation on the move. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
WhatsApp Mandy
On 072 702 1702.
Good day, Mandy. Mandy, ANC must just accept that their time is gone. There is nothing that they can do to renew the ANC. ANC is dead. There is no country in the whole world, Mandy, that doesn't see anything wrong with illegal foreigners, like what is happening in South Africa. We have so many illegal foreigners who are roaming our street, who are committing crimes. ANC doesn't care about that.
Hi, Mandy. It's great that we have persons of interest in the Maklanga witness shooting, but do we actually have the skills left in the police to get information out of them? I doubt it. Do we have a Piet Bielefeld to speak to them? Anyway, thanks, Joe.
Thank you very much for those WhatsApp voice notes. Yeah, I speak about this often. I think that there are still pockets of excellence in the police, in the prosecuting authority. I think we're very quick to bring a broad brush and say everyone is useless. They haven't got the expertise. Sure, plenty of people with expertise have gone to the private sector. Many police officers I know have become consultants or private investigators, but there are still excellent police officers out there doing really good work. On the WhatsApp line, Vivian says ANC renewal, catharsis or exorcism rather. Pumza says we'll be playing lots of board games, Ludo and chess and gardening. I asked the question, how are you going to be bonding with your kids this holiday season?
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener,
winner of the Best News and Actuality Show
at the Telkom Radio Awards.
Thank you very much for that, Palesa. Just a little reminder. 12:21 on the Midday Report. So we told you about the one big story that the police commissioner had given us an update on. That's the shooting of the Madlanga witness Marius van der Merwe. Now, the police commissioner was also at the Saulsville shooting site yesterday and giving an update on that matter, that mass shooting that took place at the weekend at a tavern. Alpha Ramashwana, EWN reporter, is following that story for us. Alpha, good afternoon to you. Thanks for your time. What is the latest we have on a potential potential motive and any arrests in the Salisbury shooting?
Good afternoon, Mandy. Well, police say that they do have an idea of what the motive behind that mass shooting in Salisbury in the west of Pretoria was, but could not give us exactly what their speculation is at the moment. Fani Masimola, the National Police Commissioner, has confirmed that they are still gathering information, intelligence-driven information about what could have led to the mass shooting there. Of course, community members also have their own speculation, Mandy, but Fani Masimola says that they will be making announcements or pronouncements very soon. So far, he says that the 3 gunmen who stormed into that tavern at the Salisbury hostel are known. They have identified them. They know who they are, their names and surnames. On Saturday, Mandy, I was there shortly after the shooting happened, and many ballistics and forensic analysts were there. And through the firearm evidence gathered there, they were able to get the identities and the names of those 3 suspects. At the moment, those suspects are still at large. No arrests have been made, but police say that they are pretty confident at this stage that they are going to be making arrests very soon. So right now, police are just still on the search for those 3 men. The police have also now opened a case, Mandy, against the owner of that tavern. And just to give you a brief explanation about what it looks like, there it's a hostel. And when you open the door, the living room has been converted into a tavern. And there's also a bedroom within the tavern, which is where the 3 kids were sleeping. So the shooters entered the tavern, shot everyone there, proceeded to the bedroom where the 3-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 16-year-old were sleeping, and also shot them. So those men are known to police, but right now police have not managed to find them.
Alpha, I'm interested in what the community has to say about this. Obviously, these shootings don't happen in isolation. You describe it as a hostel. What are people around there saying about what happened, what may have led to what happened? What kind of picture are they painting?
Community members think that the shooters were targeting or looking for the owner of the tavern, the illegal tavern. It's a woman. And they are basing this on the fact that about 3 months ago, community members also tell us, the municipality has confirmed as well, police have confirmed that there was a shooting at the very same tavern about 3 or 4 months ago. But at the time of that shooting, the tavern was closed and there was no one inside. And what community members allege is that only the windows were shot at. So they just shot through the windows and no one was shot or injured in that first shooting. And they came back this time around and shot everyone, including the owner of the tavern. But she's currently alive and she is still fighting for her life in prison. So according to community members, it seems like the owner has been targeted for quite some time. But there's speculation from everyone there, different kinds of speculations, other claiming that it could be because of taxi violence or taxi-related violence there. It's a hostel, Mandy. A number of taxi drivers who operate in and outside of Atteridgeville do live there. There were a number of taxis that I saw myself. And from some community members, that is the speculation that it had to do with taxi violence. But for the fact that there was a shooting at the same place about 3 months ago, community members think there was a target on the owner's back.
Interesting. Alpha, thank you very much. Alpha Ramashwana, EWN reporter, looking there at that Salisbury mass shooting.
7:02.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
Let's walk the talk.
Now, we are gearing up for interviews for the next potential National Director of Public Prosecutions in South Africa. Shimela Batoye's term is coming to an end. And a pretty meager-looking shortlist of candidates of 6 people who fit the criteria. One of those, of course, is a very controversial character in Mandy Wiener. Mandy Wiener, of course, was at one point the National Director of Public Prosecutions. The matter around his appointment went all the way to the Constitutional Court, and findings were made there also. And I can tell you this because I sat through every single day of the Ginwala inquiry, which shows how old I am. Frenny Ginwala making findings that effectively Mandy Wiener misled that inquiry and lied. So how is he fighting back? Well, very interesting report in News 24 today from Karen Morn, which looks at what his argument is, because he was found guilty of professional misconduct by entire Johannesburg Society of Advocates disciplinary panel in 2017. He, however, claims that he is being stitched up effectively. He blames former President Thabo Mbeki, Freddie Ginwala, Bridget Mabandla. Let's find out more about that with Karen Morn, News 24 legal journalist. Karen, we've been around a long time.
But we're still cute, Mandy.
Yeah, we're still cute.
We're still cute. It's a fact. It's a fact, yeah.
So take us to where we are at the moment and what your latest report tells us about what Menzi Simelane, the NDPP hopeful, is saying.
Well, essentially, Mandy Simelane is going to be interviewed on Thursday, and one of the biggest barriers to his possible appointment as a fit and proper NDPP is the fact, as you point out in your intro, that the Johannesburg Society of Advocates launched an application in October this year to have him struck from the role of advocates on the precise finding that he is not fit and proper to hold that position. And of course, that is based on a 2017 panel, a JSA panel finding, which of course included Dali Mpofu as one of the advocates making that decision, that he was not in fact fit and proper. And on the majority finding of that panel, which excluded Mpofu, that he should be struck from the role of advocates. And he's saying essentially this application was launched belatedly precisely because the JSA wants to stop him from continuing on his version to have a service in public life as the potential NDPP.
Why does he believe that this campaign was orchestrated against him by Mbeki, by Mabandla, by Ginwala, by that cohort of people?
Well, it's not so much that he believes necessarily that there was a campaign. He's just saying that, he was and you and I were both in that inquiry together. He was the primary witness for government. He went out there and said Vusi Pikoli is not fit and proper to hold office. And of course, he got hammered because there was this finding by Ginwala that he did not he concealed, for instance, a legal opinion about the independence of the NPA. That he had drafted a letter that the then Justice Minister Bridget Mabandla sent to Vusi Pikoli to say essentially hold off on arresting the then police commissioner Jackie Selebi until I've satisfied myself that you actually have an evidential basis to do so. All of which Ginwala said was, essentially an unlawful interference in the independence of the NPA. And it is those findings that are the most prohibitive towards him being appointed as the NDPP. And he's now saying, well, I may have drafted that letter, but is it really fair to say that I should be held responsible for the decisions of the Justice Minister and for the potential actions of the President? He's suggesting that there was some kind of dark element of Mbeki's involvement, all of this, which is not necessarily visible on the documentation that incurred in that inquiry. So it's really about him saying, I'm just a cog in a machine. But of course, Mandy, you and I both know that because of the independence that's required and the ethical independence that's required of the NDPP, I don't know that those revelations are actually going to do him any favors when he gets interviewed on Thursday.
But they don't necessarily prohibit him from becoming the NDPP.
No.
So you need to be able to appear in court, as I recall, in order to be the NDPP. But the Constitutional Court finding was on the legality of his appointment, not on his fitness to hold office. So is there anything prohibiting him from being NDPP?
At this point, no, and I think that's the issue, right? It's like the JSA's application essentially says he's not fit and proper, but he hasn't been struck from the role yet. And you are totally right. The Constitutional Court said that Jacob Zuma was irrational to not have considered the Ginwala findings against Menzi Simelane at the time that he made that appointment. But it didn't say in so many words that he was unfit. It just said that there were serious red flags raised in the Ginwala inquiry and quoted, excerpts of those interactions at length and just said, look, on the basis of this was not a person that, that this was a question should have been asked of him before that appointment was made. And that simply was not done.
I look forward to that interview this week. It's going to be fascinating. Karen, thank you so much. Karen Morn, News 24 legal journalist, looking there at Menzi Simelane. Do you believe that he should be eligible in light of the Ginwala inquiry findings, in light of this application, to have him struck from the role as an advocate. Send me a WhatsApp voice note and let me know what you think. 12:31, time for Eyewitness News headlines.
Good afternoon, I'm Khomozo Modise. The ANC says if it was a corrupt political party, it would not be in financial difficulties. Today is day 2 of the party's 5th National General Council, taking place at the Birchwood Hotel in Boksburg. One of the discussions being had at the NGC is the party's precarious financial state, which has been marked by persistent, late and non-payment of salaries for staff. The Human Rights Commission will host an International Human Rights Day celebration at the Constitutional Hill in Johannesburg tomorrow. Under the theme Human Rights, Our Everyday Essentials, the event will also commemorate the 29th anniversary of the signing of South Africa's Constitution. South African Human Rights Commission spokesperson Wisani Baloyi says they also wish to highlight the rule of law with an emphasis on transparent governance. And the International Air Transport Association says airlines across the globe expect record passenger numbers next year. It says a total of 5.2 billion passengers are expected in 2026, a record number despite global headwinds affecting the sector. Those are the headlines. This and more at 1 or as it happens.
EWN Sport.
Good afternoon, I'm Tolagele Mganga. David Miller has recovered from a hamstring injury and is back for the Proteas 5-match T20 series against India that starts this afternoon. With the rough new faces staking their claim in the squad ahead of next year's World Cup, Miller has discussed his evolving role in the side.
I think Shooks is open to any conversation. The door's never closed with him. So, yeah, it is something that we're going to chat about batting positions and my role and where he sees me. So, those conversations are going to be had today. Yeah, and we'll just see where we're at. So it'll be interesting to see where that conversation goes.
Fast bowler Mark Wood will play no further part in the Ashes tour and is set to fly home from Australia at the weekend. Wood returned to action in the first test in Perth after surgery kept him out for 8 months, only to miss the second match in Brisbane after his left knee flared up again. He will be replaced in the squad by Matthew Fisher, who only has his test cap on tour on the West Indies in 2022. And Manchester United secured a 4-1 victory over bottom-of-the-table Wolves that's moved them up to 6th in the Premier League. Ruben Amorim's side are now on a 3-match winning run, and he's now hoping they can go on a longer unbeaten streak.
We are in the league that is really hard to win every week, and you can sense that by watching the table. Then this is a specific case. We face a team that is really, really struggling, and you can sense in every situation of the game. So the next game is going to be completely different. So we need to know that. But in our club, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the run that you have, the moment if you played quite well the last game. What matters is the way we are going to play the next one.
Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this hour, if you are traveling and heading towards the Bedfordview area, that's in Ekurhuleni, allow for extra traveling time in all directions heading towards Bedfordview. That's approaching the Gilulis interchange if you're coming from Edenvale. Traffic heavily backed up between Edenvale Road and the N12. That's also bumper-to-bumper traffic if you're traveling between Germiston and Linksfield. That's the N3 in both directions. This is approaching Van Buren. Also, there's a faulty traffic light in the Edenvale area, Modderfontein Road and Van Riebeck. If you're heading towards four ways, also bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is on the N1 southbound between Rivonia Road and Winnie Mandela Drive. Traffic lights still not working as well in Bramley at Corlett and Scott. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
At Auto & General, we understand your business is built on more than just vehicles. It's your stock, tools and equipment, and the premises where you work. Auto & General Business Insurance is designed for businesses like yours, protecting your assets against fire, theft, storms, and other unexpected events. To protect your livelihood, visit autogen.co.za and get an obligation-free business insurance quote. Auto & General, never not there. Auto & General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
At Checkers, we do more so you get extra this Christmas. With festive savings like Sally Williams chocolate and nougat products. Buy any two and save 25%. And Lindt Lindor chocolate balls, 200 grams for $139.99. Plus, stand a chance to win your share of 7 million rand in prizes. Simply buy any 3 qualifying products and swipe your extra savings card to enter. Valid until Sunday at Checkers, Checkers Hyper, or shop on 6060. T&Cs apply.
Selling your car to We Buy Cars is easier than most things, actually. Ready for an offer? Complete the form on webuycars.co.za and you're already halfway there. The quickest, easiest way to sell by far. On the hunt for your next ride and your next adventure? We Buy Cars make it simple to find your match amongst 12,000 vehicles. Whether buying or selling, visit We Buy Cars.
WhatsApp Mandy
on 072 702 1702.
Hi there, Mandy. Yeah, I was just listening to the show. I was watching Carte Blanche over the weekend, and this is becoming almost is as big a problem as overthrowing the apartheid government was. The people need to take to the streets, really, I think, in the pre-94 days, 1994 days, where it really put pressure on the government to start acting. I think the South African public really needs to make their voices heard, because, frankly, we all are very skeptical about what's going to be done, even with all of this information coming out of this commission.
Thank you very much. Yeah, look, I just don't see that happening. Are we going to take to the streets in March because of corruption? Because whistleblowers are being killed? I can tell you now, I've been advocating for this for the last 5 years, and it just falls on deaf ears. Everyone loves a whistleblower until they're in their own organization, but do people ever do anything about it? Not really. And I don't think people are nearly outraged enough. I don't see us taking to the streets en masse, and whether that will have any effect at all. You might feel differently. Let me know what you think about that. And is it going to achieve anything? Send me a WhatsApp voice note 072 702 1702, 072 567 1567. You can also tweet me at Mandy Wiener.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 and Cape Talk is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently.
12:38 on the Midday Report. Parliament has sanctioned the National Coloured Congress NCC Member of Parliament Fadil Adams for placing the personal information of a DA staff member on social media without consent. Let's find out about this with Babalo Ndenze, EWN parliamentary reporter. Babalo, good afternoon to you. Just remind us, what was the issue here?
Yes, good afternoon, Mandy. So the issue here is that the DA Chief Whip, George Mikalakis, he laid this complaint on the 10th of June this year, but the report just came out now this week from Parliament, and he basically instructed his staff member of the DA, to inform rather the National Assembly that the party will be, rejecting the motion without notice of the National Coloured Congress, and this is like standard practice. But Fadil Adams then got hold of this communication between Mikalakis and the DA staffer, and he posted on Facebook basically the details of the staff member, the contact details, the name and emails and all those other details, the telephonic details. And his caption on Facebook was, "As the NCC fights tooth and nail for your housing rights, look who objected to it. Know your DA people." So that was the message that Fadil posted, but it came with all these personal details. And then it reached a large following on Facebook. I think it got like 244 likes. So the DA took this complaint to the ethics committee, saying that, Fadil Adams, he took a normal process in Parliament on rejecting motions from parties, and you went to complain about it on Facebook, but he posted this personal detail of this member, and it goes against parliamentary rules, against the ethics code, and they list all these different, transgressions. It's failure to abide by principles, failure to uphold and obey the law of the Constitution, also saying that it attacks the personal integrity of the person and his right to privacy. And so the committee, took all of this in and also got a response from Fadil Adams. And Fadil Adams stated that when he took the screenshot, he was unaware that I had captured sensitive information, and I apologize profusely if anyone was offended. But they still sanctioned him despite his apology. He has to take this apology now to the National Assembly chamber as well and apologize to the members. He will also be reprimanded in the same chamber by the presiding officer or the speaker. He'll also have his salary docked, I think up to 20 days of his salary that will be docked. He also can't participate in any parliamentary debates or meetings for a period of 20 parliamentary days. So that's the sanction for Fadil Adams, and that was basically the story. But he's one of quite a few ethics reports, Mandy, that have also come sanctioning other members also in this last batch of emails from Parliament.
Babalo, thank you very much. Babalo and Denze, EWN parliamentary reporter, speaking to us there about that sanction against the NCC Member of Parliament, Fadil Adams.
702. Mandy Wiener.
Weekdays, 12 to 1 p.m.
I said Tabiso because we were about to speak to Tabiso Goba, so I saw his name on the screen. And that's because Tabiso is at the ANC National General Council that's taking place in Birchwood this week. And the ANC saying that its delegates will focus on its progress in implementing the National Democratic Revolution, the ideological and strategic blueprint of what a democratic South Africa should look like under an ANC-run government. I've been asking you the question about whether or not this is an opportunity for ANC renewal. Are you tired of hearing about ANC renewal? We'll get some analysis on this shortly with Carol Payton, who's written a very interesting piece on this. But let's start with Tabiso Goba, EWN reporter. Tabiso, what's on the agenda for today?
Good afternoon, Mandy. As you said, today's agenda is the National Democratic Revolution and how far the ANC is actually in implementing that National Democratic Revolution. Now, we do know that the NDR is sort of this blueprint that was adopted by the Tripartite Alliance, COSATU, and the SACP of building a non-sexist, non-racial, democratic country. And I do have to say, Mandy, it is interesting because the commissions, since we got here at 9 a.m., the commissions have been behind closed doors. The delegates have been discussing this issue of the National Democratic Revolution. But also another thing that they're also discussing, Mandy, is also the shifting balances of power. And those are, I think it's a bit interesting in two senses because, one, the ANC is now obviously no longer a majority party. So there has been a shift in terms of how the ANC can continue to sort of implement those resolutions in the NDR under these current circumstances. But two is also that the South African Communist Party has now decided to contest elections outside of the ANC. And that's something obviously that we are going to have to, when these commissions are, once they're done, they're going to have to speak about. We recently, just about 5 minutes ago, we had a discussion with Gwede Mantashe. Now, you do know Gwede Mantashe is one of those famous people who has a dual membership with the SACP and with the ANC. And what Gwede Mantashe has said is that dual membership, for now at least, is still not an issue. Even though the SACP, they're going to be contesting with the SACP, it's still not an issue if you're an ANC member and you still have an SACP membership. But just going back to yesterday, Mandy, we do know that yesterday there was a report that was tabled, the financial report, which speaks about the financial standing of the ANC. And that report happened in the background, happened behind closed doors, but it also happened in the background where there were ANC staffers that were actually protesting, saying that they haven't been paid, which obviously gives us a bit of a glimpse of what the ANC's financial status is. Now, we did speak to the ANC national spokesperson, Masengu Bengu, in terms of what is the ANC's financial status and why has the ANC been struggling to pay the salaries of its staffers consistently over the last decade or so? And this is what she had to say.
Our public employees are levied by the ANC and are levied reasonably so that they themselves can be able to feed their families. I always say that if the ANC was a corrupt party, not individuals, the ANC as an organization, if it was a corrupt party, we would not be poor. We would be tapping into the resources of the state as a governing party. So that's something to note. But I can say that for sure we're focusing on building and strengthening our machinery, and we need resources to be able to do so. And that work is ongoing. But I do want to stress that you've seen a number of political parties when they come into power and then they grow their headquarters, they grow everything because they can access resources of the state. We can't access resources of the state because it will be fraud, it will be illegal. We have to work with what is applicable, and that is what we're doing.
An explanation there from Mklengi Bengu on the finances of the ANC. Thank you to Tabiso Goba for that. You'll continue to monitor what's happening at Birchwood. But let's get some analysis on this now with Carol Payton, who's an writer at large at News 24. And she writes that it's the last chance saloon convening at the Birchwood Hotel and Conference Centre in Boksburg, a downmarket mass catering venue underneath the main flight path out of OR Tambo. Why is it the last chance saloon? Carol joins us now. Carol, thank you so much for making time to chat to us. You argue that there are three things that the ANC can do this week. And what are they?
Well, that it needs to do. Hi, Mandy. That it needs to do. That is, it needs to build its branches, it needs to deliver services, and it needs to be seen to act against the corrupt in its ranks. And unless it does those three things, not just this week, obviously, but in general, it is not going to be able to persuade voters to come back to it.
So those three things, I mean, we speak so often about ANC renewal and that idea of renewal. I've been asking listeners whether or not they're tired of hearing that, whether it is still possible. But you're saying, and the president has actually said, renewal is no longer optional. It's an existential question. So is this something we're going to continue hearing about, or is this something that's going to actually happen?
Well, this is the thing, and I don't blame readers if they are saying they're tired of hearing about renewal, because I think we are all tired of hearing about renewal, because the ANC has been talking about renewal for 20 years. So this is not a new thing. These problems are not new. Corruption in the ranks of the ANC, vote buying, those sorts of things. These are not new to the ANC. The problem has been the ANC has not addressed them. Now, kind of belatedly, it's trying to put things in place. And I think, that would make a difference. And I think that, the reforms that they're planning to local government and to the civil service and so on, those are all good reforms. But in my opinion, those are all long-term things. They're not going to have enough of effect fast enough to influence voters in the next election.
You speak about ANC branches and how there really is, for the first time, a real focus on rebuilding ANC branches and how important that is. What does that look like for the ANC?
Well, yeah, because, I think what they've recognized, and Cyril Ramaphosa said it in his opening address, he said to the delegates, look, we failed in our last election campaign. We didn't actually get out there on the ground. And their problem has been is that their branches are really non-existent. So their branches form in order to vote for people to be elected to become leaders of the ANC, or to vote for people to go to the National Congress. But other than that, they don't really exist. And they don't do any work, and they are not seen in the community doing things that are helping communities with the kind of problems they're facing. So that's what it looks like, really, is putting in place like people who are keen to work for the ANC, who want to make a difference, who connect to the local councillor, if that local councillor isn't, or if they are or not an ANC member, and tries to make a difference for communities and gets the branch involved in the life of the community. So it's a difficult ask, because in the old days when the ANC was fighting a liberation struggle, it was people who joined the branch did so because they wanted to fight against oppression. Now people are quite comfortable, a lot of them, so they don't really feel motivated to get out there and build branches.
Really interesting, Carol. Thank you so much for making time for us. Carol Payton, writer at large at News 24. You can go read her piece in which she says the ANC is clear on what must be done. First, it must build ANC branches that play an active and positive role in communities. Second, it must rebuild trust by being seen to act against the corrupt in its ranks. Third, it must deliver decent public services to the people. But can the ANC actually do that? Selling your car to We Buy Cars is easier than most things, actually. Ready for an offer? Complete the form on webuycars.co.za and you're already halfway there. The quickest, easiest way to sell, by far. On the hunt for your next ride and your next adventure, We Buy Cars makes it simple to find your match among 12,000 plus vehicles. Whether buying or selling, visit We Buy Cars.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crush prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety, and service, Warrior Paints is streets ahead. Warrior Paints, affordable, lasting luxury.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a couple stealing glances at each other. In a week, their lives will change forever as they exchange their I-do's. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's a love story on the move. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
And now, it's back to Mandy Wiener on the Midday Report.
This is 702.
Let's walk the talk.
12:52 on the Midday Report. So many of you may be experiencing children at home for the festive season, and that means that there's an opportunity for you to play and bond with your child. Schools are closed. It does mean a lot of pressure, though, for parents. So I was quite interested to read about what you can be doing with your child that doesn't require you to break the bank, because so often, so many of these things that we do with our kids cost an absolute fortune. So let's speak now to Marie Payne, who's the Deputy Managing Director and Senior Director for Education and Program at the Sesame Workshop International in South Africa. Marie, good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for your time. Give us ideas, please. We all need them already.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. Yes, the holidays is upon us. Children are out of school for a good 4 to 6 weeks, depending on where they go. So it's a cumbersome task for parents, and they don't know what to do with their children. But it's an ideal, opportune time to reconnect with them, play with them, and bond with them. So I have lots of ideas to share, depending on how old your child is. I just want to upfront that you don't need expensive toys. You don't even need toys. You don't need a lot of things. I know budgets are tight. We're going into January, which feels like it has 90 days. There's a lot of payments, there's holidays, it's Christmas, there's school uniforms and stationery and school fees. So don't worry about the cost. The ideas that I share is doesn't need any cost. You can just do with what you have at home.
Make-believe play is always a great way to pretend to be doing things, and that really doesn't cost anything.
Really, yeah, and you can just use whatever's in your cupboard. An old hat, a scarf, a big jacket, shoes. They love to wear our shoes. I have a 5-year-old myself, and she loves to go into my cupboard and dress up with my clothes. It's way too big, but they enjoy doing that. And you can use other things like empty toilet rolls, boxes. You can play it's an aeroplane, or it's a sword, or it's a car. So lots of things to do with pretend play with everything that you have in the house. Go through your kitchen cupboards. There's lots of old buckets and spoons and play restaurant, put together a little menu. It helps them to recall. It helps to learn memory skills. So put together like an easy to make menu with a peanut butter and jam sandwich, glass of milk. You choose from the menu. Make it in the kitchen. They can even pretend to make those with paper and boxes. It doesn't need to be real food. And just whatever you can find. So yes, pretend play, fantasy play, extremely important for their creativity, problem-solving skills, and memory building.
And there are also some pretty epic South African games that we can be playing as well.
Yes, go and think back to when you were young. A lot of parents have a lot of indigenous knowledge, indigenous games that they played when they were young children. There's a lot of games with stones, like the keto. There's the skipping rope game. There's the tin can game. So lots of indigenous and games that you played as a child. Even something as simple as hide and seek. We played hide and seek last night in the house. So they go and hide. You count. It learns them counting skills. It learns them to wait their turn. So lots of things and imagination that you can just use in your house. We also have a lot of rain recently in Johannesburg. It's not always possible to play outside, but lots of things that you could do inside as well.
All of this, of course, requires a great amount of patience on the part of parents and will to actually do it, which is in pretty low supply at the moment. So we often just default to giving a device.
Yes. And so, of course, they can watch educational content on screen. They can watch Takalani Sesame. We have brand new season 19 and 20 is 15, 16 is on air. We're currently busy producing 9 and 20. So go watch on SABC. We also, if you have a streaming service on Showmax, they can also stream on Showmax. So lots of content on screen, Takalani content, which is educational and teaches them a lot of educational learnings and educational value. But don't put the tablet into their hand or the phone, let them scroll through YouTube. Rather make those moments playful and full of learning. And also, play inside the house, turn the couches upside down, build a fort with pillows and blankets, make a pirate ship or, just let your imagination take flight. And I also want to say to parents, you are tired, it's the end of the year. You don't always have the energy, but it's not about the amount of time you spend interacting at play, it's the quality time that you spend. So if you feel today, I only have the energy and the time to do 10 minutes, that's also fine. Make those 10 minutes memorable, make those 10 minutes count, and put away your phone for those 10 minutes. You as an adult also put away your phone and just be present in those 10 minutes. And that in itself will make a huge difference.
Some wisdom there, Marie. Thank you very much, Marie Payne, speaking to us there from the Sesame Workshop International. Some ideas on how you can get through the next few weeks, but how you can make it valuable too.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a family driving to their new home, carrying boxes stacked with plates and toys and memories. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's a new beginning, a fresh start on the move. Every story is different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Giant steps for mankind have never been very comfortable.
Houston, can I get an ETA? Over.
Still 3 days, $17 to landing. Over.
Until now. Take a giant leap forward for mankind in the new C10 range-extending EV with heated seats, surround view camera, and a 970-kilometer range. Visit leapmotor.net to book a test drive today. Leap Motor, the next step.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
Winner of the Best News and Actuality Show
at the Telkom Radio Awards.
Thank you very much for listening to us today. The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 and Cape Talk was brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. Think bigger, think Nedbank Commercial Banking. And this Eyewitness News is brought to you by Vouch. Hassle-free insurance is possible with your Vouch advisor. Vouch SA is an authorized financial services provider. T's and C's apply. It's 1 o'clock.
This is EWN.
The ANC says it's not a corrupt organisation and NUMSA workers descend on the IDC offices. Good afternoon, I'm Udise. The ANC says if it was a corrupt political party, it would not be in financial difficulties. Today is day 2 of the party's 5th national